Hello, hello, hello. Sonia here with Just Be Aquatics, and I want to go ahead and talk to you a little bit about some simultaneous tank builds that I'm about to embark on a journey with. One of them is going to actually be a bare bottom shrimp tank. I'm going to discuss why, how, and what. And the other is going to be part of my Pygmy Cory rebuild, and I'm going to actually do a dry start moss on lava rock hardscape build for that tank. I'm going to talk to you a little bit about why I'm going to do these simultaneous tank builds. So I want to talk to you a little bit about that, about why I'm going to build a bunch of tanks here faster than is recommended. I'm going to talk to you a little bit about them. So let me kind of go back and start. I know on a previous video I had shared about a little bit of the history about how I found 10-gallon fish tanks and how I signed up for his Blueprint for Success sales course. And so my experience, I've been in the hobby about 4 years, and I had got a bunch of fish tanks, and then I had to decrease all my fish tanks. I went from 16 to maybe 6 to 8. And then in the last couple of years, things transpired to where I got to do more fish tanks again, and it actually became really necessary for me to maintain my sanity. And so I ended up, but what happened is I was, trading fish, and I was doing all sorts of tanks, and part of trading fish comes with acquiring new fish. And so I ended up with almost 25 tanks, and I hit a wall. So what I got to learn the hard way why it's really important to be realistic and to set up a good system in your fish room, and also to kind of know what your limit is. Because what happened for me is I had so many fish and so many tanks, and then something happened in my life where all of a sudden I didn't have time to do water changes. So I wasn't able to keep up like I should have on my water changes. I lost at least one fish. I'd say considering I did pretty good as far as that goes, but I did end up not being able to quarantine some plants, and I ended up with a planaria outbreak. And I had no idea how planaria worked, and so it got moved from tank to tank to tank, and I had no idea it was in more than one tank. And I didn't understand the process of actually, how to actually effectively eliminate it. So I tried a couple methods, and it just took me a while. So I'll go into a little bit more about that in a different one of the videos. So what I'm going to do, well, actually, let me go back. So I found the course, Blueprint for Success, by 10-gallon fish tanks, and because I knew I needed to kind of get things cleaned up. I knew I wanted a fish room. I didn't want to find my way out of the hobby, and I wanted to do it right and accurately. And if you go and look at his webpage and look at the blueprint, you'll see that the entire process is based on principles of ethical treatment of your fish, and how to properly maintain a healthy ecosystem in a fish tank, and how to properly build a fish room tank by tank by tank so that you don't get out of control like I did. And so a lot of the videos that you have seen and that you are seeing, and a lot of the other activities I've been doing, is because I absolutely am trying to properly take care of these fish. And also I love breeding, and I want to do that right. I want to be effective. I want to be helpful. I want to provide high quality nano fish to people here in Alaska. That's my mission. Okay, so I talked to you a little bit about why I'm about to do. Basically, I have 4 tanks, I think, that I'm kind of in the process of designing and gathering materials for, and that I'm gonna start building and providing videos of over the next 4 weeks. I'm moving as fast as I can for the reason of Also, because of the said situation, I have several species that are either have grown too large or getting big and ready to breed, so I need to move them into a bigger tank. For example, the Bristlenose, so I need to get those guys into a proper 20-gallon long tank. My Pygmy Cories are in a 10-gallon tank, and they bred a little bit in there, but I need to move them to a 20-gallon tank. And I'm going to go through some of the things, some of the reasons I chose that size of tank, and how I want to design the tank. And I'll cover that more again in the video of the actual tank build. But for now, just focusing on like what these species need and why I need to move them faster rather than, you know, doing one more tank build and then going through the whole process of watching it go. Really, it's for the safety of the fish. And so I'm still going to properly like incorporate the principles as outlined by the Blueprint for Success course, but I am going to do 2 to 4 tanks simultaneously. And so then I have the Pygmy Cories, and then I have Panda Cories, which are even bigger than Pygmy Cories, and they're in a 10-gallon. And again, they have bred in that 10 gallons. I found fry that have grown up. So I, you know, probably have increased that from like 8 or 10 Panda Cories to probably 12 to 15. So I need to get them into a 20-gallon tank. And at some point I might need to get them into more than one 20-gallon tank, but I need to move in that direction because I want these fish to have a good quality of life. The 4th tank I'm going to do, it's actually going to be a bare bottom shrimp tank. So the Pygmy Cory tank also has orange shrimp in it. So I'm going to actually put those in a bare bottom tank. And I'm trying this out because, especially with the shrimp tank, because you don't have a complete ecosystem. I have just shrimp in there. And I will be incorporating shrimp into my other tanks as well. But I do have some species only shrimp tanks because they are in high demand. And so I will be doing bare bottom for the species only shrimp tanks because of the tendency for these tanks to have pests spread in them through the substrate. So, and this is, I've done quite a bit of studying on all these things, and I'll continue to study to really look at what these species need, what works best, what people have done in the past, so that I can get the best possible breeding arrangement for the species that I'm working with. So a couple things, I want to show you a little bit about what I'm doing to move through this process. So I've been actually using ChatGPT. I'm sorry for those of you that don't like AI. What I like AI for is to start researching. It's like a starting point for me just to get an idea of some major points, usually for whatever topic it is. And then I'll also have them give me tank design ideas. So for example, this is a slate-based shrimp tank. And then I also had them had it also show me another example for a bare bottom shrimp tank. And then I also did one with a bonsai tree because the Pygmy Cory and orange shrimp tank that I have now actually has a little bonsai tree in it with some swashatang in the little crevices of all the points on the bonsai tree. And so I want to utilize that because I'm going bare bottom. So I need to make sure that I have lots of surfaces. So I'm going to use slate. I want to make sure I have lots of moss and fine leaf plants, really moss. And I have like ledges for that. And I have a little like coconut bridge guide that I want to use. I have the bonsai tree, which provides the wood for biofilm. And of course, all those surfaces will allow biofilm to form. But what I did, so with AI, I don't just take something necessarily and recreate it. I really looked at what I'm working with in my tank, what materials I have. I took these 3 images and I kind of sketched out. You see, it's not beautiful, but I kind of sketched out how I can incorporate them. You'll hear more about this in the actual video for each of these tank builds, but I just kind of wanted to show you the process that I use. And then I also did the same thing for the Panda and the Bristlenose. And I'll just show you the different versions I got for the Pygmy Cory. And this will be, so I'm going to actually start building the shrimp tank this weekend. But it'll take about a week before that's built, just by nature of not needing substrate. I'm going to use a filter that's already been used, plus the tree has a lot of beneficial bacteria. And so substrate is another way like beneficial bacteria can thrive, as most of us know. That's where you get that in your tank. And so I have to make sure I'm replacing not having substrate with enough beneficial bacteria. And because I have the bonsai tree and the moss and the filter and a 10-gallon tank that are all coming from another tank, I shouldn't have to add beneficial bacteria into that. And it is only a shrimp tank. And the second tank I'm going to build, which is actually the third in this series, incorporating the principles of 10-gallon fish tanks, is going to be the Pygmy Cory breeding tank. And I have 3 different versions that I pulled. And actually, this is just 2 different versions. I thought I had printed the Panda one, but I didn't. And so this is one option that AI gave me. And really, you want to have like shaded areas. You want your pH to be, you want your water to be softer. So you want driftwood and leaf litter, of course. And the Pygmy Cories will benefit from lots of fine-leaved plants, as well as moss, as well as high dense vegetation, where the Bristlenose plecos are not going to want as much dense vegetation. The Pygmy Cories and the Panda Cories will. I think it's the Panda Cories, though, that will want kind of broader leaf plants. And so this is the thought process I'm going down. And so this one I really like. There's like almost like an arch or a bridge of driftwood, which really causes a nice shady area. Of course, you still want your sand, and it also allows for a lot of sandy area for foraging, which I really love that. But I think I'm going to actually go, and actually I meant to bring this up in the beginning, that I have the bare bottom tank, but I'm also going to do a dry start moss on lava rock structure in the Pygmy Cory tank. And so I'll be also starting that this weekend, but that's going to take several weeks before it actually, you know, with high humidity covered moss, to get started on the rocks to create that cool foraging moss structure on the one side. So I'll probably I'm going to still try to incorporate an arch into it, but you see this just has the wood on the side over here, and then more of just a dense plant area on the left side, on this other side, with the foraging area. And so definitely still going for dark. I'm probably going to actually go for dark substrate in the Panda and the Pygmy Cory tanks, because it'll help kind of create that shadowy, dark, secure, protective feeling, or ambiance in the tank. So I have the dry start method going to come up. I have the bare tank, and those are kind of 2 new things for me, so I'm excited about that. And I think that's a pretty good overview. I just want to make sure I just explain to you guys why I'm doing it this way. So the actual protocol of the Blueprint for Success is to, you know, do a tank, build it up, let it finance your next tank, so you're not getting yourself overwhelmed, overworked, and so that the fish don't suffer, right? And so that you don't get stressed out and you don't lack resources, so that you're able to really get the maximum enjoyment of your tanks. So, but I'm kind of doing all these 4 simultaneously as far as theoretically goes, and I'm still going to kind of build them out, because I'm incorporating things into them that kind of have a unique extra process element to the aquascape part of things to prepare the tank. And then, you know, the tanks take several weeks to be prepared, depending on how you are setting them up. I have a lot of these materials already, so I won't be expending a lot of resources to build all of these tanks at one time. I already have the livestock, and I just need to get them into a better space. So that's why I'm doing this. Okay, and I did want to talk a little bit about the Bristlenose pleco tank, because I think I went into some details. The Panda Cory tank and the Pygmy Cory are fairly similar in what they need. I covered with the orange shrimp, just, you know, I talked to you about the slate and the surfaces for biofilm. You also need the beneficial bacteria. You got to consider that. And of course, I'll have to add, I'm going to add, say Ryu stone is what I'm going to inject before I add crushed coral to see if that maintains the pH buffered up. And with the plecos, I'm going to focus on doing like caves and territories, less plant coverage and more caves and territories. And I'm going to use slate, so natural cave systems, along with the ceramic caves that you get. I think mine are all from Aquarium Co-op, but I'll probably incorporate a couple other ones that I have, because you want to have quite a few, like 5 or 7 different caves. So based on their 20-gallon long model that was suggested. And so again, I already have, I'm going to go with the red, the super red Bristlenose plecos. I also have green dragons, but I'm going to put those in a community tank and put some caves in there and see what happens. So these are my plans coming up. With the Bristlenose plecos, you also want to make sure like you have grazing surfaces with biofilm. So that's why I'm incorporating the slate rocks as well. And then of course I'll have driftwood in there, probably quite a bit of driftwood, not just to keep the water softer, which the plecos like, but also for more like grazing. I think there's a term for rasping, maybe, with the plecos and how they like to rasp on wood. It's part of their diet, actually. So, all right. Thank you so much for watching, everyone. Have a wonderful day, and stay tuned for these videos starting to come out soon.